Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real-life story about what happens when a community's democratic process just completely breaks down. It's a fascinating look at frustration, rules, and a fight for what's fair. So, picture this. You live in a condo, and you're not happy with how things are being run. Maybe noise complaints are ignored or leaks are taking forever to fix. You decide, okay, I've had enough, I'm gonna get involved, and you run for the board. But what happens when the very system you're trying to use to make a change feels like it's designed to stop you?
All right, let's get into the story of two owners. We'll just call them Owner A and Owner B. Their whole journey really started with those simple, everyday frustrations that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to.
It all kicked off in 2017. Standard stuff, right? Unresolved building issues. So by the 2018 annual general meeting, Owner A decides the only way to get things done is to get on the board. But the election itself was, well, messy. She thought she was the only one running, then another name just pops up. She ends up losing by a razor-thin margin, just 3 votes. That experience, feeling like the process was confusing and unfair, really set the stage for a much bigger showdown the next year.
Okay, so now we get to the main event, the 2019 AGM. This time, owners A and B were not messing around. They came prepared. They weren't going to get caught off guard again. They went out and did the hard work, talking to all their neighbors.
And all that hard work paid off with this number, 65. That's how many proxies they collected. Now, a proxy is basically a designated vote from another owner. So this wasn't just a few votes. This was a massive effort, a clear mandate from their community to get on that board and make some changes.
And right here, this is such a critical detail. Before the big meeting, they tried to do their due diligence. They showed a sample of their proxy forms to a property management employee, and according to the court documents, he gave them a casual okay or fine. So naturally, they thought they were good to go. They reasonably believed they had the green light.
And then the meeting happens, and this is where it all goes off the rails. They submit their stack of 65 proxies. The property manager huddles with the lawyer, and suddenly, damn, all 65 are thrown out. Invalid. Why? Tiny technicalities, a missing name, a missing date. So the owners say, okay, just give them back. We'll fix these simple mistakes right now. And the answer was a flat no. Their entire block of votes, just gone.
But it gets worse. It actually got personal. When it was time for the candidates to answer questions, the property manager chairing the whole thing went completely off script. Instead of asking the standard official questions, he started asking these broader, kind of pointed questions. Things like whether the candidates had retained legal counsel. I mean, that's a huge thing to imply in front of all your neighbors, basically painting them as troublemakers who were already suing the building.
So what can you even do at that point? Owners A and B felt like their democratic rights were just totally trampled on. So they took their case to court. And the big question was, what would the law have to say about all this?
They used a very specific part of the law, a section that protects owners from something called oppression. Now, this isn't about small mistakes or just being unhappy. It's about conduct that's legally defined as unfairly prejudicial, or something that unfairly disregards an owner's interests. The whole thing hinges on this idea of what a reasonable person should be able to expect in terms of fairness.
And this is where the court's ruling gets really interesting. The judge drew a very clear line. Rejecting all 65 proxies without giving them a chance to fix simple mistakes, the court said, yep, that's oppressive. Asking those misleading questions to make the candidates look bad in public? Oppressive. But some of the other complaints, like a sloppy vote count, the court basically said that was just bad management, poor governance, but it didn't cross the high legal bar to be considered oppression.
So, after this incredibly long, stressful, and expensive legal battle, what was the result? The court awarded the owners $5,000 in damages. Now, this was never about a big payday. The court even said, hey, you can't really put a price tag on the lost opportunity to serve your community. That $5,000 was symbolic. It was the court's way of officially declaring on the record that the way they were treated was fundamentally and legally unfair. So why are we talking about all this? Why should this one condos drama matter to you? Because honestly, it's a perfect case study. It reveals some really critical risks and lessons for anyone, and I mean anyone, who lives in or manages a shared community.
If you're on a condo board, the biggest lesson here is that the buck stops with you. You are responsible for what your property manager does. You can't just outsource fairness. It's on you to make sure clear, transparent, and fair rules are in place for everybody.
And for property managers? Wow,
This is a huge reminder that your actions on the ground, from a casual okay about a form to going off script with questions, can have serious legal and financial consequences for the corporation you work for. When in doubt, always err on the side of fairness and transparency.
And finally, for every single owner out there, this story shows that while it's great to be engaged, being meticulously prepared is what really makes the difference. You have to know your rights, document everything, and for goodness sake, read the rules and fill out those forms perfectly, because as this case shows, technicalities can absolutely be weaponized.
You know, when you step back and look at it, this whole thing, years of conflict, legal fees, all of it all came down to procedural details. A confusing form, a misleading question, a simple correction that was denied, and it really leaves you with one big question. A community is only as fair as the rules it agrees to live by, and how well its members actually know them.